Is the bear market officially over and has Bitcoin finally hit its bottom? That's the biggest question on everyone's mind right now because that one piece of information can make us a lot of money. Now, unfortunately, it's not as easy as just pointing to a specific number. A lot more goes into figuring all this out. But luckily for you, I've done all the research and I've been in crypto for like 6 years now, so I kind of know how all this works by now. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing exactly what I'm looking out for that will indicate to me when we start this next bull run and where I think the Bitcoin bottom will most likely be or already was. As always, before we get into the video, make sure you guys smash that like button, subscribe if you guys haven't already. I make videos all about crypto and how you can become rich with it. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Okay, since Bitcoin hit its all-time high back in October 2021, we've fallen about 70% and all coins are down almost 90%. Now, you can't just pinpoint one single thing and say, because of this is why we entered this bear market and the prices are down a lot. There are a lot of things that went into this, such as the Terra Luna collapse, the FTS scandal, the Fed raising interest rates, inflation. It's a culmination of a whole bunch of things, not just one thing. Now, because of all that happened, a lot of people have already just given up on crypto. They sold their portfolios and are just moving on. But you have to remember, this cycle happens every single time. It's not anything new. If we look at history, we know this crash or bear market that we are in right now is only temporary and the prices always come back up. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at this. If we look at all the crypto cycles that happened since the birth of crypto, we can see that each cycle has a traditional 4-year time frame, and within that 4-year cycle we can see how long it takes to hit the bottom and how far the prices fell from its all-time high. First, let's take a look at the 2014 and 2018 cycles. It took between 350 and 400 days for the price to reach its bottom from its all-time high. Today, in the cycle that we're in right now, we're well over 450 days since our bull market peak, which means based on history that we might have already hit this bottom. Also, if you look closely at both the prices from 2014 and 2018, they both fell between 75 to 85% from their all-time highs. We're down about 70% from our all-time high. So I wouldn't be surprised if we fell a little bit more from here because it has happened in the past. We also want to make sure that we take into account how the price moved in the following months after we hit this bottom. So if you look at 2014, there were about 5 months of this sideways movement for the price, and 2018 had about 3 months of sideways movement. And one thing to notice is the constant stagnant price movement that we had after we hit this bottom. We didn't see any sharp changes in prices right away. It hovered around the same price for quite a while. And if we look at the price movement for Bitcoin in the last 1 to 2 months since we hit this bottom, you can say that we've been moving super stagnant as well. And another thing to look at when determining Bitcoin cycles is the Bitcoin halving. Now, bull markets typically begin a year before each halving. I mean, for example, if we look at Litecoin, its halving is set to happen this year in August. And if we look at the price, what it was at last year, we can see the huge price run up it's had. Everything in crypto is honestly just cycles. So if you can track these cycles and stay strong and not let your emotion get the best of you, you can make a lot of money. And actually, a little funny thing off topic, I think back in August or September, I said to buy Litecoin because of this exact thing that was going to happen, and look at how high the price went because of it. Now, for Bitcoin, the next halving is set to be in April 2024, and being that we are just about 1 year from the next halving, and with us being in the same stagnant price action for the past 1 to 2 months and being down about 75% from its all-time high just like every other cycle, I think it's clear that we might have already hit our bottom. Unless something crazy happens, I see crypto moving in a bullish trend for the foreseeable future. I mean, if we take a look at the short-term price action, I took this picture a couple months ago, but here you can see that when the price was at $16,000, I put up some support and resistance levels. I put one up at 12,000 because this was the peak of the bear market rally in 2018, so I used that as support, and at 19,000, which was the all-time high in 2019, I used that as resistance. So I was watching the price action and telling myself that if we fell under the $16,000 price point, it would mean that we would drop even further. But if we went over this $19,000 price point, which we did, and hovered there for a couple months, which we did as well, it's a very strong indicator of a bullish reversal. And then the next level after 19,000 would be 24,000, and if we somehow pass that, then I could confidently say that we are in a bull bull market. If we also start to look at the price from a technical point of view, the RSI during the time was starting to show a bullish divergence on both the daily and the weekly charts, and this suggested a short-term bounce was going to come, and we did see that short-term bounce, which is what we're in right now. So for me, I think we're definitely in bullish territories for the crypto price action, especially taking into account history. But for me to really confirm this, we need to pass the $24,000 price point. Now, a lot of people get caught up looking at the hourly or the daily charts and forget to zoom out and look at the big picture or look at history, as it's very important to do so, because that will give you a better insight into the overall market and show you things that could possibly happen, because it already did. Now, I also want to briefly talk about the FTX collapse, because it does have a huge impact on the crypto markets, and it did have a huge impact. Now, I know it was a very random thing and no one could have ever possibly predicted something like this to happen, but if we zoom out and look at other Bitcoin cycles, large news events like this always happen during times of bear markets. Back in 2018, it was China banning crypto altogether, which set a huge shockwave to crypto prices, and we saw prices drop almost 80%. And this year, it just happened to be the FTX collapse. Now, all these big news articles puts doubts and uncertainty in people's minds and causes them to wonder, will crypto even last, and if they truly believe in it, or are they just buying it because of FOMO? And it wasn't just this year and 2018. Every crypto cycle had huge news events that caused the prices to basically crash. Now, I know the FTX scandal wasn't a great thing and a lot of people lost a lot of money, and in that moment crypto had a lot of bad rep and everyone just wanted to get out of it. But if we give it time, the prices always come back to normal. I mean, look at the prices right now. Bitcoin is back up almost $4,000 to $5,000 since the FTX collapse. Now, being in crypto for almost 6 to 7 years, I've seen a lot of things, and the biggest thing is during each cycle, what ends up happening is what you can say a big reset, where pretty much all the BS coins or projects that have no value or just were scamming people end up getting flushed away and just thrown out in the garbage. Like we saw with FTX and Luna and Celsius, and back in 2017, it was BitConnect. All these projects we thought that were good and were going to last and make us a lot of money ended up just being scams, and the only way we found that out is because of a bear market. So bear markets aren't necessarily bad things. They help the economy and the crypto market a lot. Now, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the markets with the FTX collapse, as that did affect a lot of people and it's not yet fully resolved yet, and neither are the issues with Genesis and Grayscale. But once all those issues go away with time, or something happens where people can get their money back, that's when I feel like the normal market sentiment will come back and we'll start to see the price movement come back with it as well. But before it comes back, there's one more thing we need to take into account, and that's crypto regulations. Now, one sector that actually needs a lot of regulation right now is the high yield product sector. These unregulated high yield products are what pump prices to insane levels, like we saw with Celsius or FTX. They offer these high yields and get a lot of people to sign up and bring hype into crypto and into their platforms, but these are also the same ones that cause the crashes and bring uncertainty in the markets as well. In 2017 and 2018, it was the ICO craze, where everybody and their moms were releasing ICOs and people were getting scammed left and right. But in time, those ICOs ended up getting regulated, and with this cycle that we're in right now, it just happened to be unsecured lending and high yield DeFi products. I mean, Luna and UST were the perfect examples where they were promising returns of like 20% with no risk whatsoever, which got a lot of people excited. I mean, I was even excited. I even made a video on the Anchor protocol, which was the Luna protocol that promised this 20% return. But clearly, with the collapse of all these high yield platforms, it's clear that we need regulation in this space, because a lot of people ended up getting wrecked. We need to regulate and find ways to tell the difference between these legitimate projects and Ponzi schemes, and also have a way to prove the collateral that's backing these projects and see if they are legit and if they're actually making real money and not just some paper money they put online. And obviously, the biggest thing is showing how they're making this money to pay out investors these crazy returns. Now, even though I love DeFi and how much money you can make from it, I don't see these high yield platforms lasting a very long time, because it is very unsustainable and it attracts the wrong crowd that, doesn't know how to manage risk or diversify or know how to do any research on that matter. They just do what everyone else does. And we don't want those type of people in these platforms, because they will lose money. Now, that's with DeFi. Another area of regulations to look into is with the SEC and security laws. Now, one thing to really keep an eye on is the XRP and the SEC lawsuit that's been happening for probably forever at this point. A lot of people are expecting the results to come in the next couple of months, but if XRP ends up winning this lawsuit, one, that will be very huge and amazing news for the crypto market and XRP's price, but we'll also finally start to see some bullish movement come in the markets because of that as well. Now, what I think happens to a lot of people is they get caught up up in this greed and always chasing and chasing and chasing and forget how far the crypto market has actually came. We think $20,000 for a Bitcoin is cheap and low, but when you remember just 3 years ago, we were like, there's no way Bitcoin will even hit $18,000. But nonetheless, you can't argue the fact that if you bought Bitcoin at $60,000, your belief in crypto isn't as strong because you're down a lot. Not only that, but institutional adoption is also a lot stronger than it has ever been. BlackRock, JP Morgan, and tons of other traditional firms are adding Bitcoin to their services, which is a shocker because, I mean, just a couple years ago, CEOs of these big firms were calling crypto a scam and that it won't ever be anything. And now these are the same people that are offering it as a service to their clients. Also, the retail awareness of crypto has come a long way in the past couple years as well. And even though we're at $21,000 in price right now, I also saw this post on Twitter where it showed the greed and fear index of Bitcoin now and 5 years ago. Even though the price is the same exact thing, the only difference is that it's 5 years apart. But if you look at it right now, we have a lot more fear than ever. But just 5 years ago at the same price, we were in a stage of euphoria. Everyone was happy and making lots of money. It just goes to show how far we actually came. So with all that being said, what do I think about the future price of Bitcoin? Did we hit its bottom already? Are we in a confirmed bull market now? Well, I think we've already hit Bitcoin's bottom. Hear me out. Because if we didn't have those 2 months of stagnant pricing, which we are in right now, and we're still around that $16,000 price point, then I would be a little wary. But since we passed our $18,000 resistance, I think we're pretty much set. As I mentioned earlier, in previous market cycles, we had these long periods of stagnant price movements where the price wasn't going anywhere, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And another good way to see how the market is doing and if we're moving up is seeing if we're moving on an upward trend. So setting higher highs and setting higher lows, which if we take a look at this chart, that's kind of what we're doing. So in my opinion, I think we're pretty much set in terms of a bullish reversal, but there are 2 key levels we need to look out for: 18,000 and 24,000, because these are very large support and resistance levels. So if we pass 24,000, then I think it pretty much just confirms that we are in a bullish territory. But in the chance that we fall back under to 18,000, then we're going to have to start this whole cycle again. But remember, I say this all the time, the majority of the money you make from crypto will be from DCAing into these lower prices that we see right now and holding that for the next bull run. And that's what I'm doing with my strategy right now. I'm just DCAing into these large coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum because the prices are so low and we'll probably never see these prices ever again. And then once we start to see the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum start to rise, that's when I'll be moving my money over into altcoins, because as we all know, the money flows through Bitcoin first and then goes into all the other altcoins. So there's technically no need to buy these altcoins right now unless you truly believe in them, because they won't really pump until Bitcoin and Ethereum do first. But that was it for today's video, guys. Hopefully it gave you guys some more insight on the market outlook and what I think about the market, and hopefully it could give you guys some clarity on what could happen in the future. Remember, none of this was financial advice, and for those of you guys that are into trading, I highly suggest you guys look into Lux Algo. I use that for all my trades and it basically took my trading to a whole new level. So if you guys want to check them out, I'll put a link to it down below. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Peace.